everyone, it's Carol here. Hello. If you can hear a little humming in the background, that's not someone, you know, humming a tune or anything. It's my little fan, because it's really warm here at the moment, and I need it to help me to breathe. So I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to ignore that kind of noise. Today is an Inspire video, and this particular project is this one here, and it was inspired by Nik the Booksmith. Saw this and was like, oh, I want to make one. But it's a great way of sharing loads of scraps and things, because this is a great swap project to do. So I've got a couple of file folders here because I want to make a few of them, and I've got a selection of papers, but I'm going to go through the selection of papers in a bit when I come to make it up. First thing I want to do is I want to make the cover. Now mine is 5 inches wide. You can do these whatever size you want, and the actual length of it is 8.5 inches long. So I'm going to use the natural fold of the file folder. Okay, so I'm going to use that. So I'm going to cut these into 5 inches, so I should be able to get 2 out of 1 file folder. So I'm going to cut this down to 5 inches, and the next one as well. Doesn't matter about all of this lot at the bottom here. Then I can put that in my scrap bag, and I'm just going to cut the other one as well. So this is one of the pieces cut, and I've chosen the one with all these bits at the bottom. So I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to put this fold line on the 8.5 inches for now. So where's the half? It's about there. And I don't know whether you can see, but this little lip bit here just doesn't quite get into the cut, so I'm going to make that just fractionally shorter to just have a nice straight edge at the bottom. And then this top piece, I'm going to cut this piece down to 1.5 inches. So I need to open it up, pop that in there, and put this fold line again on the 1.5 inch mark, thereabouts. And then I've got this spare that I can use for journaling cards. So I'm going to go and do all the other pieces, and I'll be back. Because I've got the words Pendaflex here on the back, I don't actually want that visible, so I've cut down a piece of paper that I can stick onto the back of that card, and then that covers that over, and it makes the back look pretty. So I'm just going to ink up the edges and glue this in place. And then I've got my corner chomper, and I'm going to use the 3/8 of an inch, or you can use your corner rounder, and then okay, so I've done the 4 corners there. And I'm now going to go off and go and do exactly the same with the other 3 that I've done. So I'll see you back here in a sec. That's those 4 now all done, all backed and inked up all the way around. But when I was looking through the scrappy pieces, I thought, well, actually that would make a lovely little pocket. Put a little pocket on the back, and then you could write a little note. If you were sending this as a rack to someone, you could add a little pocket on the back. So let's get that done and dusted. Now I'm putting a spare piece of card underneath because this paper is too thin and when I go to punch my half circle out, if I did it with just purely the paper, it would not catch, and it would all crinkle up and lock the punch. So at least with that little bit of card underneath, it just helps to stiffen it up a little. So we'll ink that up, move you out the way, ink you up, and I also want to corner chomp those two corners there so that they'll match up with the corner chomped corners at the bottom. Corner chomped corners. And then I can put glue around the three sides. Don't want too much on, I only want a thin line of glue. And then that can sit on the bottom of that one, and it's an ideal place to just write your swap partner or the rack that you're sending, to write them a nice little note. Come on, line up nicely please, and just pop that in the back. So you could just slot them a little note just in the back of there, or some extra little bits and pieces of scrap papers that you might have. With this one, I didn't have enough paper. I'd only got this strip left, so I thought, well, why not add it as a belly band? So I'm just going to trim that down. Decide which bit I want. I'm going to do it just fractionally inside the width of this card. Now it helps if you cut it straight, Carol. Look how wonky that is. I mean, really, there's all sorts that you could do with this. There's a drop my washi tape on the floor. Got to move it quick because the puppy is like, ooh, we'll have that, we'll play with that. So I've had to go around the whole room this morning just picking little tiny bits of paper up off the floor so that he doesn't get them. Anyway, what was I saying? So there's all sorts that you could do with this. That's what I was saying. And what I thought was, if you've got a piece of plastic, too much glue there, if you've got a piece of plastic and put some washi tape on, you could then slot that behind. Oh, that way around. You could slot that behind this belly band, as well as a little note. Oh, don't want to stick. Come on. We'll just hold him there. Yeah, so if you've got a piece of plastic, you know, like one of those file folder thingies, you know, these plastic wallets bits, cut yourself a strip of that plastic wallet, stick a load of washi tape down on top of it so that it's reusable, slot that behind there, and that's another little extra thing added to it. So that one's got a belly band, a pocket, and a pocket. As you can see up here, I've got an array of papers already lined out. I went through loads of different papers, sorted out bits, cut them up into various shapes and sizes, and now I'm going to go through them with you and line them up ready to put inside this fabric inside this scrap sampler. So I've got some wallpaper, and I've got 3 different types of wallpaper. So I've got my largest at this end and the smallest at that end. So we'll have those, thank you very much. So there's 3 of those. There's the paper bag. Now I could cut the paper bag open, so then you'll be forced to sort of use it as paper rather than as a paper bag. But I'm going to leave it as the paper bag for now, save cutting it. And I've got different types of paper bags as well. I've got a digital page that I printed off, so I can slot one of those on because I chopped that down. Piece of butcher's pink paper, got that off Amazon. This is the painter's tape paper, and I've folded that in half, stick that on. This was from a book that I'd got, and it's all these individual little sections in the book, so I just ripped those out, and I'm going to leave all this sort of fancy edge down the bottom down there to add the texture. This was some whites of paper napkins that I'd sprayed, and they've got little gold speckles of spray on, so I'll put one of them in. And then I'd got some fabric, so I've cut those into strips. Oh, my fan's blowing the paper away. So we'll add 2 of those on, and it's about layering them up so that they look pretty as well down this end, so you're sort of intrigued as to what's beneath. So we'll just stagger these out a bit. We'll have you over there. So then we've got that bit of green showing on this side. So as you can see, I've chosen sort of autumnal colours, so it's ideal for someone to receive if they're making an autumn journal. But then I also got a selection of ribbons and laces and bits of fabric. So I've got this lovely metallic trim, and then I've got this lovely sequined fabric, so we'll put a piece of that on. Now we want it all to meet up at this end up here. I'll move them up so that you can see a bit better. So I want them all to meet up at this end. So let me just take those off because they're flopsy bunnies. We don't want them flopsing everywhere. Might just spread those out a little bit. 1, 2 and 3. So again, we've got all these different layers and textures. Squidge them down to the bottom down there. Add these bits back on. And then I'm just going to get a clip or 2 and just clip them all together at the top to hold them all in place. Okay, so you want them right at the very top. Now you could go along and you could go and staple along this top edge here to just hold everything in place, but I'm actually going to machine stitch mine to just hold them all together. So I'm going to go and arrange another 3 of these, and then I'm going to go off and go and stitch them, and then I'll be back. 3 extra little tips for you about this. I would lay one of them down if you're making multiples so that you're getting the width right for the placement of all your different papers, because you don't want it so wide that it then extends beyond this little folder that you're making. The other thing is, look at the pieces that you're putting down. I just thought that these little flowers, if I put them at the top up here, then they would sort of be lost really, because I'm stitching them down. So I've made sure that they're at the bottom. And the other thing is, just be aware of the amount of layers that you're attaching, especially if you're sewing these pieces together, because if you do it too thick, then it's not going to go through your sewing machine, or if you're sewing it by hand, then you're going to find it difficult to get through all the different layers and textures. So just be aware of those little bits and pieces when you're putting this together. That's those now done, but I did forget to add a little piece of lace as well, so I'm just going to sit that up there in amongst all the stitching across the top, and I'm just going to staple that one in place, and then I can get my little folder, sit that on top, fold that over, and then I'm going to use my big bite to punch some holes. So I'm going to just pencil mark where I want the holes to be. And I'm going to use the smallest setting, which is the 1/8, and punch through the whole lot. And same at that end. Ooh. Now I have a big cone of black embroidery thread, so I'm going to use that. If I can find the end, there we go. This was from my when I designed embroidery days. And I'm going to poke this thread through there. And I don't need a needle. I'm going to use all 6 strands. And then tie it in a double knot. Put that through the loop twice. If I can get it to come through. Come on. A little bit of coaxing goes a long way. And then trim off the excess. Nik the Booksmith has very kindly provided this scrap sampler book labels, which is on her Flickr account. I'll put the link in the description box down below, but I printed them out smaller so you can get like a full page, which means these end up bigger, and I wanted them smaller, so I've printed 2 on 1 page, and I'm going to use this one, I think. Although on this particular one, because I did the holes lower down, I might be better off with this smaller one. I'm going to go and cut those out. And also the from and to, I'm going to cut that one out and stick that one on the back. So I've cut those out, and I tried the little one to put it in the middle there, but I didn't like it. So I cut out one of the larger ones, put some glue on it, and I'm just going to stick it behind that thread with the word scrap sampler just above it. But note to self, those need to be a little bit higher. And the other thing I did was I got my date stamp, and just stamped across the top up there, and then on the back I'm going to put the from and to down there. But I am thinking, you know, the Tim Holtz slot, that could go on the back there as well, so I might even end up doing that. Let's stick this one on. And then that's that bit done. Then that can go down there. So as I say, if you're sending this in a random act of kindness package or a swap, then you can put your details on the back there. But I really like these. You can see on this one where I'd got the the holes much higher, so I was able to fit that one on. But it's a great way of doing a little swap package, and great pieces then for creating a collage. So yeah, loving these. And really, if you get all your papers ready, they're quite quick to do. Yeah, loving those. Thanks very much, Nick, for the inspiration. Okay, I'm off to go and complete those two and maybe even make some more. Thanks for joining me again today. See you all again really soon. Hope it's inspired you to have a go at making your own. And don't forget to look at the links below to Nick's video, and also to where the labels are, the site where the labels are. Okay, see ya. Bye.